You may have heard the word boundaries. You may have heard a lot of talk about boundaries. Maybe you're even somebody who helps other people understand boundaries. There's something within that realm of discussion around boundaries that I want to talk about today. And it's two teachings that are the two words that I'm using more and more, especially in the Cultivate Together growth community. These concepts are really critical to me because I didn't think that it was even okay for me to do these two different things. And now I've learned that it's actually my responsibility. It's an honor. It's a gift. It's a choice. And it's so, so, so freeing to live from this place. I didn't think it was okay to develop really who I am because I always felt like I needed to martyr myself for the sake of others. And then one day I was thinking, well, everybody's a martyr to themselves. Everybody's dying to themselves. Who are the selves that are benefiting from that? That doesn't seem to work in God's economy. There's ebbs and flows of different things, but if I'm always sacrificing, I'm never experiencing anything that I'm not receiving. And over time, over a lot of different healing steps, I started realizing that one, God was calling me to develop what he'd put inside me. This was a very clear event that happened to me. And I was in the middle of just sobbing tears and angry with God, asking God, why aren't you doing such and such? I know this is part of your will. Come on, please, please. I mean, God, work, do the things that I want you to do. And I had this time with God where I just sensed him taking my tears. And I'm not going to go into the whole vision right now or the sense that I had with God. But the key thing was that I heard God say, or I believe, my sense of my spirit, that God was telling me, I've given you what you need. Now walk in it. That was a pivotal moment for me. And over time, I have continually gotten curious about that, lean into it, tested things, explored things to try to figure out, what does that look like for me? How can I respond to this, what you've said to me, Lord? Because I feel terrified. I feel like I'm going to be too prideful and arrogant, and I'm going to get squashed if I even start to, be confident that other people are just going to squash me from, just past experiences. One thing, I have looked young, and people tend to treat me like I don't know anything because I've looked young, and then they just, I don't know, whatever, that happens. But what I needed to learn was that I could develop who I was and how I showed up in the world. I'd spent so much of my life acquiescing to other people who were in authority, assuming that somebody else would call out and call up the gifts inside of me. I was waiting and really frustrated and angry. And I do believe we need to be doing that more in our Christian communities, but it has been something that was a really sore point for me. Why can't anybody see this? Well, nobody knew. Nobody knew because if maybe I said something one time, or I wasn't getting the words out, or I wasn't confident enough in what I was doing. So going back to what I was saying at the beginning, the two key things, the two terms that kind of tie into the concept of boundaries are soul stewardship and self-stewardship. When we develop who we are, we attend to the things that are at the core of how we even experience who we are, how we experience God. It is our thoughts, our feelings, the deep things that are going on inside of our soul. Attending to that, only we can do. Attending to that is our responsibility. Soul stewardship. Our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, our struggles, our challenges, our feelings of aloneness, these are going on in our inner being. And we are responsible to steward that. Now, one thing I want to keep in mind, because this tends to get even more distorted with the self-stewardship concept, which is the next one, but we have a tendency, I believe, especially as believers, to lean into this knowledge of good and evil from the garden, right? We're trying to figure it all out. We want to live from what we know. We want to prove that we can get it right. We want to be as good at Christians as we can be. Some of us, that's what we want. Some of us are just like, heck no, I'm just done with Christians. Wherever you are on that kind of spectrum, there's still a kind of a common thing that happens in humans is we want to figure it out for ourselves and manage it. And we are operating out of our heads. We're operating out of kind of this like self-source, and we don't have what we need in that sense to keep it going. We need to be sourced by God, right? And because God has put so much in us, we can draw upon what is already there and develop it. We can attend to it in our souls, and we can develop it in the way we live, how we show up for other people, how we show up in this world, how we're using our gifts, how we're using our voice or holding back at times, how we talk to other people, how we take care of our bodies and our minds and our overall mental and health and physical well-being. So self-stewardship is about how we steward who we are as God's unique and beautiful created design. Each of us has different strengths and weaknesses. This is not about trying to be perfect. This is not about trying to achieve and outperform anything. It is about leaning into this process of development that says, oh, man, for an example would be, I have been really afraid to speak up because I'm afraid that other people will put me down. I actually need some healing, counseling, therapy, other experiences in my life that help me feel less fear so that I could start leaning into it and making different choices, testing new things, testing out my gifts, using my voice in different places. So that goes from like soul stewardship to self-stewardship. I just used in that example, attending to what's going on inside of here so we can make choices that align with God's design in us so that we could show up in this world as his beautiful design. And sometimes for some people that is speaking bold and loudly. Some people it is a quieter, softer speaking or more listening for other people, or we use gifts in all kinds of different ways in this world. But when we don't develop who we are and how we show up in this world, when we are not stewarding our souls or stewarding ourselves, we will end up trying to manage other people. So this is one of the reasons boundaries is really tied to this, because in boundaries, we are identifying what belongs to us and what belongs to others. When we are not attending to what's going on with us, we want to manage other people, or we keep projecting what's going on inside of us to other people. We defend against other people who want to join us and we're working together on something. Like it limits our ability to live with healthy boundaries. And so likewise, they kind of go back and forth. Healthy boundaries help us really develop who we are so that we can have interconnected relationships with other people. We can use our purposes for the kingdom in a unique way. I believe this with all of my heart, that God has designed us with just beautiful variances of attributes, in that developing ourselves and developing our like attending to our souls is a core piece of being able to be used by God, to be able to live out his purposes, and really to experience the more fullness, aliveness. Aliveness is a word I got from Bob Hamp. I just love that he uses that. I think he used it in the book, Think Differently, Live Differently. This aliveness is not just like we're functioning, we're not just here being, but we are alive because we are receiving from God and it is overflowing. We are attending to the things when it hurts, when it, because that makes sense. Like even anger, we're not trying to like shut down anger and emotions. Instead, we're going to attend to what's going on inside of it so that we can respond in ways that, like I said, align with God's kingdom, align with our values, align with who God designed us to be. Not trying to fix the problem on the outside. Okay, you got to change the way you're acting, and then somehow that's going to change your soul. That's not how it works. It's inside out. And these two concepts, they're, like I said, they're tied to boundaries, but these two concepts are key things that I'm just really passionate about. And it's going to be talked about a lot more, even in the Cultivate Together group, and maybe even an upcoming course or something. But I wanted to highlight it here for you to just have a chance to think through that. What does it look like for me? What would it look like if more of us did attend to that? And if it was a struggle, if we just even noticed why it feels prideful to actually be who God called us to be. I am not telling you to be better than somebody else. I'm telling you, don't allow yourself to be better or less, but to be as God created you so that you can see yourself with sober mind. Like Romans 12:2 says. So is it 12:2 or 12:3? It's one of those two. So that you can see with yourself with a sober mind, the clarity of God, and receive so that you can give to other people. Take care.